More on that with Jamie.
Yeah, as you guys noted before the break, he had a flat left rear, so he limped it home, and he said, I'm telling you guys, something's wrong. There was just no rear grip at all. So we brought it back in, and the rule by NASCAR is you can only replace the tire that was flat. So they're going to check all four corners of this truck, make sure those other tires look good right now so he can continue in practice, but definitely not the start they wanted. They want to get as many laps as they can here with this abbreviated session.
And you know, Jamie, is a bit of a break for guys like you see Alex Bowman's the fastest in that 7 truck, Colby Hired, Parker Clearman. That's a bit of a break for those guys to get out there and get a lap in and get some knowledge about what their truck's going to do. All these drivers coming off pit road now, Andy, they're anxious. They want to see if they've got anything to run up there with that speed that Bowman has put on the board.
They are anxious. Everybody in this field is anxious even before this started, because with a 20-minute session on an oval track where you've got a 25 to 35-second lap, that's a decent amount of laps. When you come to Cota, you're over 2 minutes a lap. You're talking with a 20-minute session under 10 laps of practice total. When you add a red flag in there and you stop the trucks and then get them going again, you're going to talk, if we're lucky, to get all the way through this with maybe these guys getting 5 or 6 laps of practice before they go qualify.
And 5 or 6 laps on a road course is very, very beneficial, because 20 turns, you multiply that and you got
that's a lot of turns.
100 turns. I mean, my math is great, but it seems like you're going to learn a lot in a short period of time because of all the turns.
Well, and it taking you a little over 2 minutes per lap. As you said, you don't get a lot of lap time. Only 14 minutes plus left here in this practice session before you line up to qualify. So you've got to be efficient.
Yeah, that's right. And Vince, I just confirmed with our stat guy, Jimmy, that 5 laps with 20 turns, that's 100
that's
turns.
100?
That is,
I was all over that one.
So the thing with those 100 turns, with those 20 turns around Cota, there's so many different kinds of corners. So you have to leave enough bandwidth. You're driving the heck out of the truck, but you've got to leave enough bandwidth in your brain to record and pay attention and open that file and close that file for every single type of corner, so that when you get back in and you've got only those few minutes before qualifying, that you can tell your crew chief where it's good and where it's bad in all of those different spots. Decide which are the important spots, because you're never going to get it right for all 20, and then attack that.
And I'll tell you about bandwidth and how that works in a driver's case. Matt Crafton's got a map on his dash showing him all 20 corners, and that's beneficial for a couple of reasons, Vince. You know, obviously just familiarization while you're sitting on pit road, understanding where the track goes, but then also communicating with your crew chief to say, in this section of the track where it's left, right, left, like Andy said, my nose isn't quite pointing like I need it to. So there are several reasons to have that map in the truck. Matt Crafton's taking advantage of that.
Super critical. We do that.
Go ahead, Andy.
We do that in sports car racing too. We've got the map on there just so that I don't say turn 7 and my turn 7 is maybe a different turn 7 from the crew chief.
Crafton finished 15th here last year, and one of those drivers that, just as a 3-time champ, you always expect him to be there at the end of the season, but it's been a little bit of a rocky start to his campaign. A couple of finishes outside the top 20.
I love taking rides with these drivers. It's just so fun to see what they're faced with.
This is Tyler Ankrum, and he nearly won this race a year ago, won the pole and ended up 3rd.
Off turn 20, and I talked about that long drive up the hill. Watch Tyler as he attacks turn 1.
Demon, let the hill slow you down.
Let the hill slow you down. That's something the driver has to keep in mind as he races up that hill.
It is, but watch this plateau as you crest this hill. You can come up there, use a ton of brakes on the hill, but then as you crest, it's very easy to light those fronts up. A downhill right-hander sweeping turn 2 into, wow, the S's, which has changed a little bit from last year. Notice on the inside of the red and white curbs, there are no big orange pylons like we had last year. So we're seeing guys take a little bit more of a bite, and Tyler, in that case, took a lot out of that curb. We see that upset the truck a little bit. You've got to be smooth on and smooth off the gas if we've got a car spun on the outside of the entry to turn 7.
Lawless Allen in the 45.
Lawless Allen spins it around. You see his windshield wipers sticking up. Thankfully, he won't be needing those windshield wipers. He can pat that right back down. But we stay green, and that's what's important to these racers, getting some laps in.
Well, there's so much runoff area here. Much of that is pavement, so it's rare that we see somebody get into a position where they really need a tow, as you saw
that 45 there.
Get around.
Sorry, buddy, I'm jumping in on you.
That's because you love racing so much. You want to tell people what's going on.
I get so excited about trucks on road courses that I'm clamping my mouth shut here not to talk over you guys the whole time.
Kyle Busch, as you see on our scoring pylon to the left, Camping World presents our scoring pylon. Kyle Busch is the fastest, and that sets a standard for these other competitors. They know when Kyle makes a lap, it's probably going to be a pretty good one. And Chandler Smith about a half second, or excuse me, almost a second off of what Kyle runs. So these racers got some work to do. That's interesting you brought up